April is Stress Awareness Month, but anyone struggling with stress is fully aware of the issue all year round, and of course, especially this past year during COVID. And while the emotions can be overwhelming or even debilitating at times, they can also be the keys to greater well-being. And joining us with how to unlock that burden and turn it into a superpower is Dr. Chloe Carmichael, author of the new book, Nervous Energy: Harness the Power of Your Anxiety. Sounds very interesting. Many of us, of course, have that nervous energy. How would you describe it, Dr. Carmichael? And is it really a bad thing?
Well, thank you and good morning. It's a great question. So, nervous energy is actually that little zing that anxiety gives us when we are confronted with a stressor. A lot of people think it's a bad thing and they're scared of it, but if we know how to use it, it's actually a great source of energy and focus.
A little zing, huh? Okay, I'll be listening for my zing. Now, in your book, you mention high functioning people. Can you tell us who they are? And could we be high functioning even without knowing it?
Many people are high functioning without knowing it. High functioning is just a psychology term that basically means people who are able to do things like set an alarm clock and get up and be somewhere on time, or make sure that they've done their grocery shopping. The types of organization and having a couple of good relationships in their lives that many of us just think is part of normal life, but for psychologists is actually the sign of a higher functioning person.
I've heard the expression, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? Because they're high functioning, they get it done. You also cover the importance of making a to-do list for your emotions. Can you take us through that process?
Yes, definitely. So the to-do list with emotions is great for high functioning people because, as you said, we tend to take on so much because we are so good at getting things done that we can almost start to feel like a hamster on a wheel, and we forget about the emotions behind what we're doing. And then we can suddenly find ourselves procrastinating. For example, I had a client that suddenly just couldn't seem to get his grocery shopping done. And when he looked at the emotions coming up for that to do, the emotion was actually loneliness. And it turned out that his ex wife had used to do the grocery shopping, and the grocery shopping was actually stimulating him to realize that he needed more social support. So then he was able to solve the problem by just scheduling a cell phone catch up call during the grocery shopping. So that's how looking at the emotions around our to do list can actually be very enriching.
Wow, that is something I'd never thought about. You also talk about making another list in your book, a mental short list. Tell us about that.
Yes, the mental shortlist I love, especially for those of us who are strong-minded, can have a tenacious mind. So suppose that you've been working on a big project, you can't get it out of your head. That's a great thing as long as the project is active. But once the project is over, if it's just stuck in your head, you need what I call a new mental shortlist. So we come up with 5 things that we know are going to be better for you to think about. It could be anything from anniversary and grocery shopping to other work projects to friends you're meaning to catch up with. The point is just 5 good, juicy topics. It's so much easier to get your mind to pivot onto a new habit than just saying, don't think about the old thing anymore.
Well, it sounds like we need to be making lots of lists and attaching emotions to them. But you also talk about something called anchoring statements, and you say we should script them or write them out. What is an anchoring statement?
Yes, you're absolutely right about the list. Forewarned is forearmed. And with the anchoring statements, those are great as well for people who know that they have a tendency to just have their mind go blank and suddenly get really nervous. Like I've had some people say they just have like a COVID panic attack where they're just suddenly afraid of it. And what helps them is to have pre-crafted statements like, for example, I'm healthy, I'm strong, and I'll get medical help if I need it. And by just keeping themselves grounded in those simple, accurate truths, they stop their minds from spinning out into a catastrophic thinking.
So these should be more positive affirmations.
Well, they should be positive, but they should be true. So with affirmations, we might be saying something like, I'm enjoying the best health of my lifetime. And there might be a part of us that knows it's not true. So the anchoring statements have to be 100% true, like I am strong and I am healthy and I will get help if I need it. The affirmations can be more aspirational. The anchoring statements are always 100% true right now.
Okay. Now, this one is really interesting. You say we should schedule worry time. Uh, does that really work?
It actually really does, because for those of us who are a little bit of a worry wart, which is actually, again, part of being a high functioning person, is we're constantly thinking ahead, but it can go a little haywire to the point where we're standing in line at the grocery store, worried about renewing our life insurance. So, what we do is we deposit that worry into a calendar event that happens maybe once a day for 15 minutes, once a week for half an hour, whatever's best for you. But by depositing that event into your calendar, it lets the executive lobe of your brain let it go, because otherwise that part of your brain thinks it has to keep it in your working memory, and you're burning up and wasting all that mental energy. So if you deposit those worries in a particular calendar event, it frees your mind to relax while still not losing track of those items.
Those are some great tips. Thanks so much, Dr. Chloe Carmichael, author of the new book, Nervous Energy, Harness the Power of Your Anxiety. Good to talk with you today, Dr. Carmichael. Thanks so much for being with us.